Morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 34 of North Coast Networking Group Coffee Chats. NCCC, we are a networking group here in North County, San Diego. I'm your host, David West, your solar best. And I'm missing my co-host today still. It's Kelly Klein. He's just out doing some crimes. I'm kidding. No, he's just, he's out and away. So it's just me leading this podcast here this morning. And today we have Haley of Brovia Interiors. Haley, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So here at NCCC, we are a collection of entrepreneurs that meet every Thursday morning from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. And I've been in it for 3 years. So, we've had people that have been in it it's been going on for about 8 years. Mm-hmm. And you're one of our newest members.
I am.
So tell us, a little bit about what have you liked so far about being an NCCC?
I love it so far. I mean, from the moment, so Rudy invited me, the president of NCCC, and from the moment that I got there, being a guest, it was warm and welcoming, and everybody just has a really good vibe, which I love, and you're all just like a fun group of people. But I really love that everybody supports each other's businesses at the core. Everybody's like very interested in the inner workings of your business and really, goes the extra mile to help. So I really appreciate that. And it's just been fun getting to know everybody and learning their story and, the intricacies of their business.
Yeah, I think it's the most important part. It's just like we all say, hey, we are just business owners. We're trying to get more business. Yeah. At the end of the day, we're also all people, and that's like the best part. We get to connect. And so that's what this whole podcast is about, is getting to know more about our members. So for you, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where'd you come from? How'd you end up in North County, San Diego, in this beautiful paradise that we're in, and then ultimately getting into interior design?
Yeah, all good questions. So I am a California native, but I grew up in the Monterey Bay, in Carmel specifically. I come from a fairly small family. I have 2 older brothers, a younger sister. We're all kind of spread apart. But I lived in Carmel up until the time I was about 20 or 21, and then moved to San Diego, really with the idea of, hey, I'm just gonna stay here for maybe a year and have some fun and see if I like it, and then most likely go back. And of course, I got here.
What part of San Diego did you first move to?
Carlsbad.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. I lived
it's
downtown.
Rare for people to go there first.
I know, and I loved it. And I really never looked back. I just, coming from Monterey Bay, I mean, it's a beautiful area. Most people are familiar with. So the contrast of San Diego and Monterey is it's not a big one. We both live in, we all live in beautiful, they're both beautiful areas. But as a young adult in her 20s back then, I wanted to just get out and explore, which I did. And I, again, like I said, I fell in love with San Diego, and I had the inkling to become a designer. I was really interested in design. I always have since I was little. So I decided to stay and go to design school and kind of took it from there.
Yeah, where did you go to design school?
Palomar College. I did a little bit in an unconventional way. I went to Palomar College, got my associates, and I also, around that time that I was studying, I found a job with a really good company, a model home company, that I stayed with for about 5.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
You were doing design work for them?
I was,
okay.
Yeah. I did design work for them. It was more of an introduction into design, which was really great because I could leverage that against my studies, right? So I was studying, and then I was also getting that hands-on experience, which was super helpful at that time, so.
Yeah, that's actually so useful. I feel like many entrepreneurs, they either start like one of 2 ways. They're really passionate about something, and then so they finally jump into that business, or they've been lucky enough to been working in the business or studying it, and then they can go and open up their own little sect of it.
Right.
You're also, I believe you were working on flips with your brother.
I was.
Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started doing flips kind of further on into my career. That was probably about a year before I started my business.
Okay.
I was working for another design firm local to Solana Beach, and I gained a ton of experience working as a lead designer and project manager. So I really, it gave me all of the confidence and the tools that I really needed to start my own business. And that was essentially always the end game for me. So
So you knew from the get-go that you wanted to start your own design business?
I really did.
Okay.
I really did. I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit, but just like a lot of others, you kind of hold off and wait for that right moment to jump in, and it's never really quite there. You just have to kind of jump in and do it. So that's essentially what I did. And my brother's a contractor in the LA area, and him and I invested on a couple of flips together. And
Fun.
it really was. And we learned that we worked super well together.
That's rare.
We get along,
Siblings
I know,
well.
right? We get along pretty well, and we work together really well. And so that really kind of gave me the confidence, I would say, to just jump in and do it, because I was working, on a different level. It wasn't working for somebody else, it was working with my brother and kind of leaning on, my own design instincts and kind of.
Do you feel like he trusted you to kind of like take care of that stuff more than the regular company did?
Yeah.
I think that's
a little bit.
It's probably like so helpful. I mean, for me personally, like mentorship is everything. Like someone who believes that you can actually do good work on your own is all it really takes for you to like have that confidence what you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's really cool that he kind of was the part that helped out. I think that's awesome when the family's the one that, sometimes the family's like, don't get into business by yourself. But I guess what was the final thing, the final moment where you're like, all right, I got to start up my own business?
The final moment. I mean, that was, so it was a little tricky because COVID was looming, and we had just finished our flip maybe about 2 months before COVID came out, was a thing, and I still just said, you know what, I'm going to do it. It was a little sketchy, but
So you started your own business in 2020.
2019.
Okay, and then it was like right about then, and wow, what a good time to start a business.
Yeah,
at least you're still in business.
Exactly.
So you got experience flipping houses.
Yeah.
Got experience. You've studied design. You've worked for model home companies and other design firms. Now, what do you do for your clients? Like, what is your role when you come into a project? Like, how does your expertise play into that project?
Yeah, good question. So my business is full service. So what that means is that I provide everything soup to nuts for your home. We do specialize in kitchen and bath, but we don't only come in and just do the frilly stuff. We work on the architectural side as well. So I come in essentially and work with the client to get down to every single detail from the beginning to the end. So that is essentially, pulling together a cohesive design in a holistic approach. So basically down to the materials, the planning, creating the floor plan and the drawings. So really tying it together to get that pretty picture for the client, so they can really understand all of the options. But I also work with them in a way that, leads and guides them through the process in terms of knowing what to keep in mind. There's certain things, certain aspects to keep in mind throughout a project. Obviously, budget is a big one, but also things to plan for from the very beginning, things that you might not think of on your own, right? So that's part of bringing the contractor in as well. I think you and I have talked about that before, working, directly with the contractor to, make sure that the designs are, of course, on track. I'm not designing anything that is way outside of the scope of what we can do from a structural aspect.
Yeah, I think that's probably such a unique role to play in all of it, because a homeowner is like, hey, I just want my home to look amazing and everything that I want all in place, like a beautiful landscape, but then also this kitchen that matches the living room, that matches the bedrooms and the bath, but it all has like some cohesive, it's this picture perfect design. But to be honest, probably most homeowners don't really know what they're doing there, and they're just kind of like throwing things together.
Right.
And so they need someone that's going to come in and be able to like cultivate that better and actually be realistic.
Right.
And also structurally sound.
Exactly.
And so that's probably
very important.
Really hard sometimes. What do you find is usually the biggest challenges you run into with homeowners?
That's a really good question. The biggest challenges, the main one is kind of having these grandiose ideas of what they want to do for their space. They'll see something on, HGTV, and say, oh, I love that. Let's do that, But it might not be, TikTok. It might not be, the best solution for their home. But that's my job to, guide them through that process and really, lead them to the right decisions. That's probably the biggest thing.
Got it. Like taking something that was, that's like the biggest problem with social media these days. It's just like, this is in this scenario across the world, like this works, but it doesn't necessarily work here in San Diego or whatever.
Right.
Whether it's labor costs or just it doesn't work because of the atmosphere. Can be so many factors, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
What do you find is your biggest passion with what you're doing? Like really what motivates you to do all this, Haley?
Very good question. I have always, excuse me, like I said, I have always loved design to any capacity. I'm a very artistic person. So design just excites me overall. I love walking into a space and just, seeing the possibilities. I'll walk into a space and it's like, oh, you can do this, you can do that. There's so many, so many directions you can go. What I love is guiding people through that process and getting them excited about design. Usually when they come to me, they're already excited. They have an idea more or less of what they want to do. But I love the process of just guiding them, through the process of finding the right materials, bringing out their true design. A lot of clients come to me and say, I'm not really sure what my design is. I like a little bit of traditional. I like a little bit of, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And that's fine. But it's really kind of fun for me to help them tie that all together and just, bring it to the forefront, just learning their style and creating a space that's really, unique to them. I have, of course, a certain aesthetic that I like to do, but I love incorporating, key elements that really speak to the client and make it personal.
Yeah.
So that's the fun part. There's a lot of fun parts to it, but I'd say that's the biggest one for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. When you're passionate about something, and you have an energy for it because of that passion, like it's so easy to just, every part of it can be a journey and super exciting.
Right.
Just for clients out there that are thinking about potentially they're in that process of design and they're kind of getting overwhelmed. Obviously they should reach out to you. But overall, just from your experience, do you have a couple, maybe one or two examples of your favorite projects that you've just helped out someone so much and just completely transformed their perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a client, we did, it wasn't actually there's a couple that I have in mind. I'll use this one primarily. I'll use this example. I had a client in Rancho Santa Fe who, when I went in there, it was a beautiful home. I will say that, but everything was very kind of dark and drab and outdated. To most, going in, they would say, well, this is a really nice, it's a really nice place. And it was, but the problem was they weren't utilizing it to its full capacity, you know, and it didn't have quite the energy that, you know, that it really needed, the lightness and the airiness. So what we did is we completely transformed the space by keeping, you know, some elements, some aspects of the structure. We just kept intact, kept the bones of the body intact. But the skeleton. But we updated the paint. Updating paint alone it's unbelievable. It can really just change a space, that alone. So it really brightened it up. But above and beyond that, we worked on a kitchen remodel, a couple bathrooms, a fireplace, and a laundry room. And we really just brought everything together cohesively. So, you know, it had a really beautiful flow, walking room to room. And working with that client was a lot of fun. They were open to, you know, a lot of ideas, which is always great. So this space was one of my favorites because not only did it really embody, you know, my style, but it also embodied theirs. You know, they found their footing with things that they liked, you know, things that excited them. And that was really fun to see. And the project turned out, it was beautiful. So that was a favorite that sticks out in my mind.
That's the good stuff. It's always important when it turns out beautiful, you hope.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah, no, forecasting, you know, you've been running your business for 5-6 years now. Where do you see yourself over the next 5-10 years in this business and ultimately the industry? Like, how do you think the design industry is going to change?
Yeah, well, you know, for myself, I would like to stay somewhat small in the sense that, you know, right now it's myself and an assistant. I see myself expanding to other areas of California, maybe even Monterey Bay, because I have a lot of connections up there and it gives me a reason to go back. Well, I have reasons too, but that's a good one. Yeah, exactly. So I really would like to expand a little bit. I've also thought about maybe opening an online shop with, you know, curated pieces like furniture items and, you know, lighting and things that I normally curate for my clients, where they could basically go online and shop themselves. You know, if that's the service, if that's the only service, if they don't want to go the mile in terms of hiring a designer, they can just pop online and do a little shopping. I love that idea. And my ultimate goal is to open up a shop one day. So we'll see. It's kind of like a little pipe dream right now, but it would be a lot of fun.
Hey, dreams, if we just focus on them enough, sometimes turn into reality.
100%, I agree.
Unless it's like involving dragons and myths and everything, and you're flying, maybe not as real.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, stepping back a little bit away from the business, tell us a little bit more about Haley outside of interior design and NCNG. Like, you know, living here in Encinitas, Cardiff, like, what are your favorite hobbies to do to balance, which is probably one of the hardest things as an entrepreneur to do, is to balance work and life. Like, what do you do outside of the whole job?
I always try to get outside, you know, just doing anything out in nature. I love to hike and, you know, take walks. I love the ocean. I grew up by the ocean, so I have, you know, really deep connection to it. So I always find myself, you know, gravitating to it. And
what's your favorite beach around San Diego?
You know what? I love Swamis. I don't know. It's kind of zoomed out.
Yeah.
I used to surf back in the day. I grew up surfing. My brothers, my dad and both of my brothers surfed, and we used to drive up to Santa Cruz. I was born in Santa Cruz, and anyways, we used to go up there and surf quite a bit. And as you know, I got older, I don't know, just, you know, life takes over, and I just got busier.
It's strange.
That thing, life. Yeah, and I didn't go out as much, and so I just kind of kept on that trend, and now I find myself a little scared of the ocean at times, hearing about shark stories. Anyways, but I still love the ocean, and I love paddle boarding. I love going out and paddle boarding in the lagoon, so that's kind of fun for me too. But yeah, anything to do with the outdoors, I really love. I love coffee a lot. I love going to coffee shops.
What's your favorite North County coffee place?
Yeah, I'm really liking Bird Rock.
Bird Rock?
Yeah.
That's a first.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time we've heard Bird Rock. We
It's
get
either-
Lofty all the time.
Lofty.
Yeah, Lofty's great. Actually, I do Lofty and Solana. Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, I've been vibing with Bird Rock a lot lately. I like their coffee, and they have a cute little space in Del Mar too.
Yeah, you got like two. Well, that's, this is coffee chat, so we always got to know about the coffee.
And this is water, which is kind of a...
It's pretty much just water straight from the beans.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the business and like being here in North County, I think a lot of times it's really easy to get caught up in, like the day-to-day, we're helping our clients and everything, but ultimately, what is your why? Like when it comes to design, the artwork, helping these clients see their vision, why do you do it all? Like what really motivates you, Haley, as an individual to go inspire others to create the best designs for their home?
Yeah. Well, I think we have to keep in mind that our spaces are a true reflection of us as people, and from a health standpoint, our spaces really affect our day-to-day lives. When we come home from work, we want a space that we feel comfortable in and that we connect to. We those tranquil moments, are everything. So I really love that aspect of design, from that approach, just creating spaces that are mindful, not only that are functional, but create that wellness factor, that like very chill, comfortable vibe for people. If it's your living room, you want a space where you can go and sit down on a comfortable sofa. You want to be comfortable, so you want to, relax and make sure that everything down to the materials that you're using embody that, and the lighting, certain little elements around the room, things that make your life easier, and so it's all coming from kind of that spot, that space.
Yeah, that's really important. I think people, because we spend so much time at home, especially like we were saying, like going from work, your job or your business, and then you're going home, and it's just like, if it's not fun to be in or comfortable to be in, then it's like, it just adds another level of stress.
Right.
And that's like, it's not what we want in our lives. We want to have that balance. So when it comes to just overall, someone's thinking about their home, their design, whatever, in their house, whatever it could be, why should they reach out to you? What would you do that's going to be different from any other designer out there at Brovia Interiors? Like, I guess, what's your thing that you need to say to your clients here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's really important. What I would say is I really work hard to connect with my clients from the very beginning. It's important to get all of the key aspects of the project, but also learn, about the client specifically, get down to the nitty-gritty of how they live, what things are important to them. Some things that are important to one client might not be as important to another. So, for me, I really take the time to get to know them on a personal level, and, find out all of the details, going in. But also I'm very communicative throughout the process. That's important to me. From the very beginning to the end, there's that open communication between myself, whether it's between myself, the contractor, anybody else involved. Surprises can come up, of course, in any project, and managing those things that might pop up are really important as well. So I really think that in the big scheme of things, that is probably the biggest factor of them all. Really just getting to know the client first of all, but also keeping that line of communication open. I work with the clients, one-on-one to facilitate.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like with your experience being in construction, working with your brother as a contractor, like that's a balance that, if, like what you're saying, bringing someone in to actually talk about that stuff is so important, but also keeping the personal touch.
Yeah.
I think it's like the contractor's going to come in and be like, let's just get this thing done at the cheapest price possible and just give you a good product. But it's so important to consider the client's actual needs. Mm-hmm. And I think it's what you're saying. Like, yeah, it's hard to deliver, but if someone's going to want to do that the right way, like that's 100% why they should reach out to you.
Right.
So where can people find more about Haley and Brovia Interiors? How can they contact you and your website and everything there? Yeah,
so you can find me on IG at Brovia Interiors, and my website is broviainteriors.com, or 760-213-5805 is my number. And just reach out and give me a call anytime.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
It's always exciting to have the newest members of NCNG on. We're always looking to invite new members to NCNG. NorthCoastNetworkingGroup.com is our website. You can check out more there. We also meet every Thursday from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. at Beach Plum Kitchen in Carlsbad. Just come check us out. It's a way that we can help you grow, and it's also a way that we can help each other grow, because we can always learn from each other. I've learned things today from Haley, and I think that's why we want to keep such an open group here. So please come check us out and subscribe to North Coast Coffee Chats on YouTube. And also thank you to our sponsor, Max Lux Media, and Rob. He's just such an incredible media producer here in our podcast studio. So
cheers.
Thank you, Haley.
Thank you.
Cheers. Happy chatting.
Happy chatting.